Happy Friday, everyone! My name is Ellen. I'm with Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. On Fridays, we go live to tell you what's new, what's happening in the store, but what's happening out in nature. And in nature, it's nesting season. Let us know in the comments, do you have nesting birds maybe at your house or in your yard? Have you seen nesting behaviors happening? That is what our big topic is tonight, is talking about nesting season and how you can help birds that are nesting in your backyard this season. This is the time to do it. So let's talk about that real quick, because I think it's really, really important that this time of year we have birds that are coming up, migrating up to our area for the purpose of nesting. Why do they do that? Well, because the north is filled with insects and we have lots of nesting sites. If all those birds that migrated all the way up here stayed down south, there would be a lot of competition and not many of these birds would fare well. That is why they migrate north, is because we have an abundance of natural food, that is the natural insects, and we have lots of natural nesting locations. And so everyone can find a spot, hopefully, right? That is the hope. That is why they come up in our direction, is for that reason, to find sites to nest and to raise a family. That is what they're here for. There are a couple things that you can do to help these birds out. And the first is providing nesting sites. Now, some birds will just build that cup nest out in your shrub or tree, like your cardinals, goldfinches. Those are prime examples of birds that build cup nests out in nature. All right, that is also included your hummingbirds. Hummingbirds do not use a nest box. Okay, they build their own nest out in your shrub, okay, or maybe in a tree. That is where what they're doing. That's how they raise their young. They do not use a nest box, but many of other species do, in fact, use nest boxes, right? This is a great example of one of our Nature Creations nest boxes. And many birds will use this. Wrens, chickadees, woodpeckers all need a cavity to put their nest in. Okay, so whether you're providing nesting sites such as bird houses or providing nesting material, those are all great options. And let's talk about nesting material real quick, because we can provide safe options for nesting, okay? So I grabbed a couple of these options. These are some of my top favorites, right? Hummer Helper is loved by many. This is actually a refill pack, and I'm going to show you something to do with some of the refills. If you already have the cage for this, that is perfect. That's a great way to use this. But let's say you don't. I'm going to show you a great idea to use some of these nesting materials out in your yard using feeders that you may already have on hand. All right, this one right here is alpaca nesting material. It's just alpaca fur, and you can put this out either in this bag, but I'll show you the way that I like to use it. And of course, our WBU nesting ball is perfect. It's all made out of natural material. It's perfect for the birds to come and grab a little fluff to add to their nest. But let's show you real quick. So let's say you're at home and how many of you have a suet cage laying around that you're not using? Or maybe you have other feeders, such as this is a suet ball feeder, right? A cage kind of like similar to the suet cage, right? A little bit similar. I have one like this. This is actually called a peanut hut, so you could actually put whole peanuts in there. But yes, you can use this for nesting material. And my favorite, absolute favorite, is our seed wreath feeder. And yes, we have seed wreaths like this, perfect for Mother's Day. You can pair it with this, and it makes a perfect gift to give to mom or grandma or anyone, maybe a housewarming gift. Perfect for your bird lovers that are maybe having their new home of their own. But let's say you have these already. How can we use this in other ways? And maybe it's not with You could use these all with different foods, but I'm going to show you how to use these feeders as with nesting material as a second way to utilize these feeders other than just offering food. Okay, so for example, we're going to take our seed wreath feeder, and let's just say I'm going to use today, for this example, I'm going to use the refill Hummer helper, and I'm also going to use the alpaca nesting material. Okay, so we're going to open these guys up. I'm going to show you what I like to do to utilize this. We're going to use a little bit of this stuff, and we're going to use some of this alpaca nesting material. And we're going to make our own wreath that's built with nesting material for the birds to use. All right. So what I'm doing is I opened up this guy. There is some string and whatnot in here to wrap that up. But I just like to take a little bit out at a time. And I'm going to open up my wreath feeder. And let's say that it's not brand new, so the tags are all off and it's cleaned and ready to rock. But I'm just going to lightly lay it in here. Now we're just going to stuff and make it a way. I like to take these are actually in kind of like sheets, but I'm just going to take half of that ply, right, and take maybe half of this or so and kind of break it up into smaller little pieces. And I'm just going to lay it in my wreath like so and kind of layer that up in a couple different manners. And then I'm going to take a little bit more nesting material from the alpaca fur. And again, just kind of break it up just a little bit so it's a little bit more easy for birds to grab and go. But I'm really going to just stuff it in this wreath feeder. Just like that. Now that it's pretty full in there, I'm going to close it up so you can see how that works. So now all that material is in there, and if you can see there's pieces kind of pulled out a little bit. That's how you want it to look, because you want those birds to come by and just start grabbing the tufts. All right, and that's pretty much perfect how that works. Okay, super easy. And like I said, whether you have a peanut hut or maybe you have a suet feeder at home, I'm sure you have a feeder that you're not using that you could turn into its own nesting feeder, right? A nesting material feeder. And all you're doing is providing safe nesting material and a safe choice for birds to use to make their nests. Now, like I said, all these birds are coming up. They are coming up for the purpose for nesting. Okay, so if we're not providing for them all the things that they need, you're going to be missing out on a lot of that action. So this includes your hummingbirds, right? Hummingbirds are coming up here for nesting. So same with our orioles. You can get them to stay longer by providing the things that they need. That means water, food, and nesting resources, all right? So we can't obviously in a day build put out a huge enough tree that maybe will provide a spot for an oriole to build their nest, but you could probably provide nesting material and other foods that are going to add to the habitat in your own backyard and be very attractive to these birds. All right, so keep your eyes out there. Make sure you're providing everything that they need to really make this year a successful, thriving year to raise young. Okay, so now we talked about the nesting material as a great resource to offer to your birds, but let's talk real quick about food to be offering. So I know many of you have had your grosbeaks, you've had orioles, you've had hummingbirds, catbirds are coming in, house wrens are returning. So many of our favorite spring and summer visitors are starting to return and be seen in your own backyard at your feeders in the backyard or front yard, right? And we talked about how cardinal confetti was great for attracting the cardinals, but not only cardinals, but grosbeaks too. We talked about offering nectar and jelly and oranges for our orioles, but also nectar for our hummingbirds. But what can we provide all these nesting families? And that big one is nesting super blend. All right, we talk about nesting super blend. This is the best, highest protein, highest, has lots of calcium in it. It's perfect for families that are raising young. Right, so whether it's mom and dad who are maybe incubating eggs, right? Maybe it's the young that have just hatched, right? All these birds are really, really looking for items that are in nesting super blend. Okay, this is going to be the highest protein. It's going to give them the best start. And not only the best start at life for the fledglings, the babies that are leaving nests, but it's also helping mom. Okay, moms, we know, moms do all the work. They have to lay the eggs. There many times are the ones that majorly incubate the eggs. And they are oftentimes the ones that are really rearing the young. And we know mom needs extra ingredients, extra nutrients in her diet to get her to, one, build strong, healthy eggs with strong, healthy babies. And this nesting material, this nesting super blend is a perfect, like the best out there for it to give mom, give dad, give the babies as they are in whatever stage they are in nesting. It's going to give them all the necessary nutrients to not only survive but thrive during nesting season. So whether it's a seed cylinder, you're looking for cylinders or loose seed, this seed is it, guys. If you're really asking me what do I need to make sure that my baby birds are going to be having a great start at life, nesting super blend all the way, guys. All the way. All right, so come in, grab it. It's in stock. So grab it whether you're in store or ordering online. We have it in stock. And that's going to give your nesting families the best start at life. Okay, the best start. Great to see you, Barb. It's great to see you. Good to hear you have lots of birds at your feeders. All right, now, the other thing I want to talk about is spicy blend. Because we have our regular spicy blend, the 20-pound bag of seed, right? It has sunflower chips and peanuts, but we got a new blend in. And it's just spicy chips. All right, this is a 20-pound bag of our spicy seed, but this one is special. Okay, this one is special because it has none of the peanuts and tree nuts in it that some of the other seed blends with the hot spicy have. This one does not have those peanuts and tree nuts. What makes it advantage of that? Well, the big advantage to that is that sometimes certain feeders, like tube feeders, can get clogged with all those peanuts and tree nuts in it. Spicy chips is going to run perfectly through C2 feeders. One thing I love about spicy blends is that I don't have to worry about what feeder I'm using them in and how it's going to fare well with the squirrels in my backyard. While with spicy blends, I don't have to worry about that because we know that all mammals have a brain receptor that senses hot, and birds don't have that. So if you really want to feed the birds and not the squirrels, you got to try the hot pepper stuff. It really, really works well. Well, and the reason why are some of the birds you're starting to see less and less of? It could be cardinals, it could be chickadees, it could be titmice. A lot of those birds right now are sitting on eggs, or they have young to attend to. When our birds start to have young, we start to see a little bit dip at the feeder action because our bird parents are busy feeding young. And the majority of baby birds eat insects. So that is why we have a little bit dip in our feeder action when we start having young, start to hatch. But don't worry because soon they will be back. And they'll likely have a few extra birds in tow, meaning the young. After the young fledge, likely they will bring the young to your feeders to show them how feeders work, how to eat from them, and why your feeders are so great because they're going to provide the supplemental food that they may not otherwise have access to. right? So we know studies have shown us that birds with access to feeders fare better than their counterparts without. So actually one of the studies was done right here in Illinois, and they set up in the forest, they set up feeders, and many of those birds were banded and caught, and they had studies done on them, such as checking blood pressure, checking how many eggs that they had in their nests, how well they learned things from blood samples on how their physical health. So these birds fared better. The birds with the feeders had access to the feeders, fared better than in the areas where they did not put out feeders. And not only did they physically do better, like the adult birds, they were in better shape. They just were physically in better shape than the counterparts without. But they actually learned that birds with access to feeders had more young, and they were able to have more broods in a season. And their young were more well equipped when they were leaving the nest versus their counterparts without. So feeders do play a big role. And not that they don't have enough natural resources, it just makes it easier. These adult birds have a busy life, especially during nesting season. There's a lot to go into nesting season. It's the combination of defending a territory, defending the nest, raising young, building the nest, making eggs. It's all lots of high intensive activities that birds are dealing with this time of season. But we've learned that we can actually help them out by providing these great resources, whether it's nesting material, maybe nesting sites. We also know that putting food out for the adults is helpful to them. So you are doing a big, big help to your birds when you're providing nesting super blend or other seed blends that are providing supplemental food for your birds. It's not only helping the babies, you're helping the adults, you're helping the whole species when they are visiting your yard. Okay, you're doing a lot of good work. So congratulations on maybe having a new family of cardinals in your backyard. Very exciting. Goldfinches goldfinches are kind of a little different story, because while a lot of other birds are in nesting season, goldfinches don't really nest until the end of the season. So meaning like at the end of summer. They coincide their nesting to hit the timing perfectly for when many of our native plants go to seed. So since they are almost completely vegetarian, their young really only eat seeds. So we don't see as much of a dip in action as we do in other species in the spring and early summer as we will later in the summer. Now what could be happening is they're starting to pair up. And you might be noticing some really cool behaviors, especially with the males. This week and part of last week, I noticed a lot of male activity. And what they were doing is one male was chasing away another male. So while they haven't quite exactly, they're not quite exactly ready for mating and all of that, but they are starting to pair up. And they are starting to be a little bit less flocky, right? They're not hanging out as flocks as much as they were in the winter, but they're starting to kind of pair up a little bit. And you're starting to see this battle between the males at feeders. So it could just be that the flock has kind of dispersed a little bit, and they're going to be a little bit more paired coming to feeders. A little less as a big group, but more as pairs coming together. So keep your eye out, see how it's going. Otherwise, just keep an eye on your Niger. Because with all this rain and this sporadic rain that we've had, it's a good idea to go out there and check your finch feeders. Make sure that there's no clumping and make sure there's no wet seed in there. Goldfinches are so bougie. They are so picky when it comes to seed. They want to make sure that it's very fresh and very dry. And if it is neither of those two, your neighbors might end up getting your finches instead. And since no one wants to share their goldfinches, you got to make sure that there's no wet seed in there. Take your feeder and give it a good shake out there. If you don't see any clumping, it's likely that it's not wet. Okay, but make sure that it is fresh. So keep an eye on when you last filled it, and be certain that we're making sure that it's fresh. Now, you don't have to worry about your Niger if you get it from Wild Birds Unlimited. We do get our seed in weekly. But if you are buying large quantities of seed, meaning 20-pound bags of seed, and it's not in that resealable bag, you just got to make sure that you're going through that seed fast enough. Otherwise, it could go too old and become stale from not being in an airtight container. So we always recommend buying smaller quantities. Buy a 10 instead of a 20, or 5 instead of a 10, because those smaller quantities bags are going to be a little bit, stay fresher for you longer. Okay, if you're trying to work out of a 20-pound bag of seed and you're getting not as much action as you did in the winter, it could take you a long time to get through that 20-pound bag of seed. So we recommend going through it smaller, or putting the remainder that you're not using in a sealed airtight container. That will keep its freshness for a couple months. All right. So back to Spicy Blend, because I know how good Spicy Blend is, and spicy chips are equally as loved by so many birds. So if you are getting, if you are getting your grosbeaks, cardinals, finches, and your goldfinches and sparrows, and yes, I just saw a white crown sparrow outside before we did the live, and oh, it's so exciting. It's so fun to see all these different sparrows, all these different birds coming. And one way that you can use pretty much any feeder, including some fun tray feeders. Everyone knows how much I love a good tray, right? I love our Good Evening Cardinal feeder, but I also love a classic tray feeder. You know how much I love tray feeders. They are like the dinner table. Everyone is welcome. Everyone can find something that they like to eat here, and everyone feels comfortable eating off of a tray. There is plenty of sight to see. You can see the birds clearly, and the birds can see all the predators, so they feel really, really safe. And we know that if you can put some spicy seed in here, it can really give your critters a run for the money on the seed, okay? They're not going to go and devour it like they will with any other seed, like regular seed. But even still, besides a tray feeder, some of our seed tube feeders sometimes can get clogged if there's too many large peanuts or tree nuts in it. That's why I love the option of a 20-pound bag of just sunflower chips, essentially, right? It's just hot sunflower chips, okay? And this is going to be loved by so many birds, but it's also great to put in tube feeders. That may be trickier if you have peanuts in that blend. But luckily, this blend has none in it. It's just sunflower chips. So it's going to be loved by a lot of birds. So if you haven't tried Spicy Blend already, it might be your chance to try it. It's a great price point per pound when you buy the larger quantity. That is why we get 20-pound bags of this Spicy Blend. It's because we know that if you're buying those smaller Fiery Feast or the Sunfire chips in the 8-pound bags, it can get kind of pricey. If you go to a 20-pound bag, you're going to save your dollars per pound, okay? So just consider it. Think about it. Think about how you would utilize it and how that can expand the fun with feeding if you don't have to worry about the squirrels eating everything or damaging the feeder. Okay, so keep that in mind. Oop. Another thing I want to talk about real quick before I get into some of our events is that we have there's two real cool things going on. First of all, today was our first day of our native plant sale with Good Steward Ecoscapes Tomorrow, he will be returning from 10 to 4, and you can shop his array of native plants and trees and shrubs. And I just wanted to point this out because this is an awesome sign that Andrew from Good Steward Ecoscapes has given me in the past. And I just thought it was so cool because on this poster is actually, it's a keystone plants that support wildlife. What are keystone plants? Well, keystone plants are essentially the best plants that you could put in your yard that are going to support the most wildlife. So whether it's insects all the way to our mammals, these species are really helping a whole slew of wildlife. So if you can even just plant one keystone species in your yard, you are doing a wonderful thing. And I want to point out that the wild strawberry Andrew has, and it is a keystone species. So come on by, get some keystone species, get some other native plants. And the other thing I love about Andrew is that since he's a native plant landscaper, he is really able to help you if you are not a green thumb person, you don't like planting, or you just can't physically get out there and plant any longer. He can help you do all of that. So whether or not you're coming to actually purchase plants from him or coming to talk to him about him coming to your home to do some work for you, he is a great resource. We have used him outside on our side garden. He has done everything from taking out non-natives to helping to weed and helping also to plant native plants and really get my vision for the space to happen. So if you're looking for someone to help you with that task, Andrew is your guy. So come by the store tomorrow from 10 to 4 to talk to him and get booked in his schedule to come see you at your own home. He is a great, great asset and a great resource that we have. All right, what else do we have going on this week? Before I get into some great Mother's Day ideas, I want to talk real quick about our events. And I want to let you know that also, do you guys remember Lydia? Lydia used to work here for us. She is still part of our flock. We get good updates from her. Lydia is at Purdue now, and she is studying ornithology, and she's studying the wildlife science, so I know she's going to do some great things. But she recently messaged me this morning and told me that she is doing this really cool birdathon. You might be asking, what's a birdathon? Well, similar to a bookathon or a marathon, but instead of running or reading books, she's actually birding for us. So her mission this summer, in May, it's the May 2nd through the May 18th, she is participating in a birdathon adventure with Cope Environmental Center in Indiana. And this project is pretty awesome. So essentially she's raising funds for Cope Environmental Center. They provide sustainable education and programs to help people understand sustainability and how to help everything live on all life on Earth. So it's a great, great mission. And what's really fun is that she has pledged to try to find over 100 species of birds. And with our help, hopefully she'll make at least a $500. That is what she is looking for. It's to try to raise $500 for as a pledge. So if you would like to help, you can either go directly to her link, and I will share the link after the live, but you can also come in the store, you can scan the QR code here, or you could do cash donations. All right, so all of your in-store donations, we, Wild Birds Unlimited Joliet, is going to match. So we will match anything that you donate in person here in store. If you donate online, you could potentially put Wild Birds Unlimited in your name so that I could know that that you are with our group and that I should include you in your donation towards the Wild Birds Unlimited Joliet matching. All right, so I really hope you enjoy and help her out. She's a great resource, not only for us, and we love her story and that we had a part in her success going into her birding world. But she's also doing great things for the birds. And this photo I thought was so great. Now the back photo she did take on her own, but I did put this new photo of her, and she actually is doing a bird banding right here with an owl. So it's really, really exciting. She's doing some great things for the birds and study for birds. And I think we can do a little bit to help our flock out and help her out with her donation raising. So consider donating, all right? Just want to talk about that real quick. This here is living at the store. But again, like I said, I'll post all the link and the image on Facebook probably maybe tomorrow, but it'll be on here by tomorrow for sure. All right, coming up. All right, tomorrow, again, we have the Andrews Native Plant Sale here at the store from 10 to 4. But also, tomorrow we have our Possibility Place bird outing. That's in the morning, so I cannot wait to see you if you are coming. We have some really cool things happening at Possibility Place Nursery if you are signed up and registered to go. I cannot wait. I am so excited for you guys. It's going to be a really great time. But also coming up on May 5th, that is coming up on Monday, we have our first field trip from Wild Birds Unlimited, and we're going to Messenger Woods. Now, the Will County Audubon will be there, and they're going to help lead us through it. And in fact, they told me that the wildflowers there at Messenger Woods are peaking. So not only are we in for a super treat with all the birds that are probably going to be there, including warblers, since we're hitting peak migration for warblers, but also we're going to be in a beautiful landscape filled with native flowers. So they're at their peak also for the spring. So that should be a really great treat. If you are interested in joining, please, please, please call the store to let me know you're coming, so I can keep an eye and make sure that we have everyone in the group that is potentially going to meet us there. Okay, so let me know, call the store, let me know. Also happening in May, we have a whole bunch of things, and they're all on our website and they're all on Facebook, but I wanted to point out 2 other things that are happening in May. And the first one is May 10th. That's our Native Plant Container Garden Workshop. So this is a great opportunity to do something either for mom or with mom to build her own native plant container garden. So what's happening? How does it work? It's $45 per person, but what's included is an awesome pot, and this pot is a really awesome sustainable fiber pot. So what is a fiber pot exactly? Well, it's made out of material that will eventually decompose. So the idea, we thought, would be kind of really cool to, one, provide a pot that would be low cost for us for our activity, but 2, have it be used in a multitude of ways. So whether you want to put this pot inside a more decorative pot, you certainly can. You could also potentially plant the pot itself in the ground and it will decompose on its own. Or you could just leave it in the pot for the season and decide what you want to do, whether it's put it in the ground or have it have a new home in a different pot. The choice is yours, but it's a really great idea. I really like the sustainability factor of these fiber pots. But the $45 also includes all the materials, including 5 native plants that you get to choose yourself. So it's a really cool activity. We're going to learn a little bit about the native plants that we're putting out there. We're going to do the activity right here in the store. It's at 6 p.m., but there's limited spots available. So if you're really gung-ho and want to do this activity, want to get mom out and do a mom and daughter, mom and son activity, this is a great opportunity to do something together and have a feel good, because it's going to not only help the wildlife, but it's going to help bring in pollinators and birds right to your yard in its own little container. So whether you're a small space person needing, balcony size to a more extensive landscape, this activity is for everyone. So again, got to call the store to sign up. It's $45 a person, and the space is limited. So be sure that you call sooner than later so that we get you on the list to be included. Also happening in May 17th to be exact, we have Art by Anara. It's a pop-up shop, and she has a whole bunch of items from stickers all the way to a more canvas art. She does watercolor, and I want to say, what is it called? It's charcoal, and I'm losing my words. But it's a different kind of medium, and it's absolutely stunning. I invite you to go look at the Facebook event of hers. She has some artworks that she's let me share on there so you can see that. The date for the native plant container garden is May 10th. It's a Saturday, and it's going to be at 6 p.m. at night. Okay? Be here at the store, but 6 p.m. on May 10th. So be sure you tell the store to get put on the list to let us know that you're coming, all right? But again, if you want to see all the events and everything that we have going on in May, it's all on our website and it's all on Facebook, so you can see all the activities that we have planned for the month of May, including our other plant sale and a couple other presentations that we have going on in May. So keep an eye out for that stuff. All right, let's get to it. What are some ideas? Mother's Day is coming up, and it's coming fast. So whether you're a mom yourself and you have family that may need some help or need some tips and ideas, have them, tag them in this post, in this live, because it'll start jump-starting some ideas for them. I also highly recommend to leave a hobby guide out with maybe a note saying, I really wish I had one of these. Maybe it's a new feeder. One feeder I really love, especially for Mother's Day, is our window feeders, because bringing the birds even closer to mom is always something she wants. All right, as a mom, I can say that us moms love seeing our birds, and we love seeing them as close as possible. So whether it's a window feeder or one of our awesome camera feeders or camera houses, including the hummingbird one, the bird reels make awesome gifts for mom. So we can always watch our birds and watch them close. We love to watch them close. Some other great ideas for Mother's Day gifts, of course, are our seed wreaths, right? We talked about seed wreaths and how you could potentially give them the seed wreath holder and then give them some nesting material. And there you have two uses right away that you can use for the seed wreath feeder. You can use it for the seed wreath, and then you can use it for nesting material once the seed wreath is gone. All right, but also I love our houses, and we know nesting season is upon us. Who can't go wrong with a birdhouse, right? And I love our Nature's Creations houses. They come in a multitude of styles and colors, something for everyone. I just love the turquoise, and I love these unique stones that and the little detail that they put on them. It's absolutely adorable. What's the trick to keeping them stuck on the window? Okay, the big trick with window feeders is getting those suction cups pliable. All right, so in here, there are some suction cups, right? Now, this type of feeder, you actually are attaching the suction cups with a little screw to this part, okay? Now, what I like to do, whether it's on here or sometimes they're separate depending on the feeder, what I like to do, and this is what I do for the ones here, and I'm telling you they never come off. Okay, the idea that what you do is you got to make them pliable. So take a cup of water. I like to use a mug that's safe in the microwave. And I put my water that's in my mug in the microwave for, let's say, a minute, maybe a minute and a half, just so that water is nice and warm. I then stick my suction cups in that cup, and I let them sit there until basically the water is almost cooled off completely. Okay, once they have sat there for a couple minutes, they are going to be super pliable. Now make sure when you put them on your window, the window that you're putting it on is clean. Once you put it on that clean window, I'm telling you it's going to have the suction of its life. It will never come off unless you are literally peeling them off the window. it gives it such a good suction. The key with them is making them pliable so that you can get that really good suction to that window. If it's not very pliable, you're not going to get as good of a suction to it. Okay, so put those suction cups, make that water warm, put them in there, let them sit for a little bit, and then dump that water out and take those nice, warm, pliable suction cups and stick them on that window, and I'm telling you, they'll never come off unless you want them off. Okay? That's the trick. A couple other ideas for great Mother's Day gifts is a hummingbird feeder. And of course, I grabbed this one because this one is so cool because they light up. There is a solar piece into this feeder. I have these feeders. I have this one, exact one, actually, up north in Wisconsin. It is such a great feeder. You can hold pretty decent amount of nectar, and these flowers do come out, so it's easy to clean. You can use all of our different port cleaners to get a good clean on them, and they still work awesome, and it just is so pretty at night too. Not to say the hummingbirds are necessarily eating at night, but it definitely makes a very decorative piece to my yard or my side yard up north when I have this out there and it lights up. Super, super awesome. Love these feeders. And they come in a couple different styles and colors too. Now, talk about styles and colors. These Buzzy products make excellent Mother's Day gifts. And I'm not just saying this, I absolutely love their towels. I'm showing you right here, I have in my hand, is actually a reusable bag. It does come with a zipper that comes with a lanyard hook. So you can hook this onto maybe your purse or somewhere in your car so you don't lose it. But this is actually a reusable bag, and it is a pretty big size. This one I grabbed is the Cardinal. We have them in hummingbird and wren and owls too. They do have a hook on them, so if you want to hang it somewhere, you can hang it somewhere. You could roll it up. You could fold it up, you can put it back in the little baggie, however you want to do it, but these reusable bags are great. You know, Mom loves a reusable bag. I use reusable bags pretty much any place I am shopping. So these make great bags. They have a pretty big capacity for weight too, I gotta say. But also, Buzzy makes awesome, these products are all made out of recycled bottle. So not only do they look really cute, but they have a sustainable purpose. So these guys are all made out of recycled material, recycled bottles to be in fact. These double-sided towels are so absorbent. I can't even tell you how awesome they are. My dad, who always would give me a hard time about my pretty towels, even he loves this towel more than any other towel that my mom has. So it's a win-win for everyone. He loves these towels because of how absorbent they are, but they also look awesome. So this one is a bluebird, and yes, it has one side has a lot of the bluebirds, and it's the pink background, and the front is beautiful too, has the full-size image of them. And yes, we have matching reusable sponges. So these two come in a couple different colors, couple different styles, depending on the bird that you choose. Oh, guys, look at the hummingbird. The hummingbird is such a pretty color, too. This one is more of a purple and blue kind of color combination. But look at the front and look at the back. And, of course, I just love the towel, these sponges, too. They are so, so pretty. Love towels and sponges, and Mom, you know we love that stuff for kitchens also. But let's say you're a mom, or you have a mom who would rather spend more time outdoors. These things are going to just accent so much, and they're going to bring so much joy to her. So first thing I'm showing you are these solar light balloons. Now, if you haven't seen them in person, you've got to come in and see them. But they actually light up like a balloon, and they flicker, too. And they come in a couple different styles. This one in my hand is actually this rainbow color, but we have them very popular ombre orange and purple. We still have a red, white, and blue, and we still have them multicolored. So we still have a couple different styles, And we have one extra large variety if you are looking for something spectacular for mom. She will definitely put a smile on her face when she pulls out that huge solar hot air balloon. It's absolutely stunning. But these guys also make a great present for mom. These are our Spinfinities. This one is a monarch, and it does come with, the smalls come with a little tail, but look at how awesome they are. They do have this holographic movement to them, so it does look like the butterfly is moving, or in this case, it will look like the cardinals are flying. Hopefully I can get it in the right, oh, there we go. Yep, cardinals. We have a couple different styles of both the large and the small, but they come in quite a variety. And the larges do have a separate tail that you can add to the look of it. But these also make great gifts for mom. But what if you have your big one, right? Maybe you have the spinner of her dreams or the bird bath of her heart. What if you need something just a little bit special to go with that gift card or that big gift that you got her? I'm telling you, between all of our silver florist earrings or my personal favorite, the WBU earrings, these guys are great little gifts to give to mom. One thing I love about WBU is that each one of them they're not quite matching, right? They look a little bit different. And it's for the purpose so that you can have a conversation, an important conversation about the species that you're wearing. So maybe it's the butterflies, and this one is the swallowtail. And I love how it has not only the full adult butterfly, but it has the cocoon, the pupae, the chrysalis it comes from. So it has a really good, important conversation that you can have with people as you're wearing them. Why are they different? What is that? What kind of butterfly is that? Maybe it's the hummingbirds, right? I love that they're a little bit different. And you can talk about the ruby throats and how they're the only hummingbird we get in Illinois. And that they are so fun, and you can have them come in your yard if you just put up a feeder or plant the native plants that they so much enjoy eating nectar from, or eating the insects that come and visit them. So these make great gifts, add-on little gifts to add to mom. Perfect for her. All right. So that's just some quick ideas. Don't forget, we have a whole bunch of things that mom would enjoy. I'm telling you, think about something that is going to continue to give her joy, right? Maybe it's not a one-time use gift. Maybe it's a feeder that will continue to give her joy for many more days, many months, years. Some of our feeders literally can last a lifetime. Our pole systems are lifetime pieces. These are things that can be maybe gifted to you, when she's not there any longer. Things that you will remember her by for many years, because of the love that she has for birds and for caring for the wildlife in her own backyard. So consider these things. Tag someone that might need some help this Mother's Day. If you're a mom, tag them in the comments. Let them know some ideas. Get them kick-started. Put the hobby guide on the coffee table. Circle some things that you're looking for. Help them out, and they will be very appreciative. And of course, we will help them out if they come in the store and are looking for ideas for you. All right? You guys have a wonderful Friday. I might see you tomorrow, whether you're at Possibility Place Nursery or maybe you're going to be here at the store. I will be at the store after the Possibility Place bird outing. I will be stopping back at the store, so maybe I'll see you then. But remember to think about what you're offering for nesting season. Think about the food that you're offering. Think about the nesting material and the houses that you are providing, or if you're providing them at all. Think about that. You can really help these species out and not only help them survive, but make this nesting season a season where they can thrive, go above and beyond, right? Enjoy the birds. Enjoy the orioles. Enjoy the hummingbirds. I cannot wait to hear about all the species that you are getting when I see you tomorrow. All right, you guys have a fantastic Friday. We'll see you next week. And we'll see you then. If you have any questions, of course, put them in the comments, and I'll answer them after I get out of here after the live. All right, you guys have a great weekend. We'll see you then. Bye now.